Well, here's the jockey. It's Bob Champion. That was you 40 years ago on Aldenite winning the Grand National. What a moment.
Absolutely fantastic. And it was a race I always wanted to win from a very early age as a kid. I remember...
Because you were kind of born into horses, weren't you?
Yes, I was, yeah. Hunting family up the north. And I can remember the careers officer coming round to my school, and I wasn't the most educated person in the world. And the careers officer came and offered me about 3 jobs. Dorman Long Steelworks. I didn't really want to work in the steelworks. Skinny Grove Mines, going down under the sea about 10 miles, and used to cave in about every 3 weeks type of thing, killing a few people. Or something else, and... I can always remember my dad took me down the mines just so I wouldn't go down there, and just went down one stage, and I thought, no, that's definitely not for me. And Mr. Mackenzie, my form master, said to me, always follow your dreams. And I wanted to be a jockey. And believe it or not, the day I won the National, as I was coming back into the unsaddling enclosure, there was Mr. Mackenzie. Hadn't seen him for years, with his thumb up.
Fantastic.
And I'll always remember that.
I mean, I've been to Aintree, I've watched the National, I've walked the course. They've made the course fairer, easier. You can choose whatever words you want. But when you were riding it then, Beechers, the chair, pretty intimidating, some of those fences, weren't they? Or was it to you just all part of the job?
Oh, they were bigger fences, let's be honest.
They were.
They took a lot of jumping. I can remember the very first time I ever had a ride at the National, horse called Country Wedding. She was small and not very big, and got qualified for winning the worst race in the history to get qualified. And I went there and I walked around. I thought, oh my God, nothing can get round there. Well, I got brought down to the first fence by the favourite. So I didn't get much farther.
I guess it must be exhilarating riding in a National. Is it a little bit scary?
No, not really. You're doing a job you love. And, I'd been brought up riding across country. And, of course, you get the adrenaline's the most important thing. And as soon as you walk out into the paddock, see the owners, jump on the horse, you're doing your job then, and you're concentrating, and you're not nervous anymore. You canter down to the start, go and look at the first fence, and, look at the starter, and away you go.
Away you go. No, it is. As I've been to several Nationals, it is an amazing atmosphere. It's a fabulous. I love it. I know there are some that criticise it, but I love it personally. So, Bob, you achieve your ambition. You become a jump jockey, and then it all goes horribly wrong, doesn't it, for you? And you get cancer. For how long did you know you had a problem?
I had this ache. It was in one of my testicles.
Yeah.
And this ache, it was a numb sort of ache. And, I still didn't do anything about it. I'm a man, we're stupid, really, in a lot of ways.
But also as a jump jockey,
yeah,
you're used to getting knocks.
Oh, good God, yeah. I had falls. I got kicked there one day, and it had nothing to do with me testicular cancer, looking back on it. And, basically still didn't do anything. Went to America because I used to ride every summer in the States because there was no jumping in England those days, and had to earn a living. And I, still had this terrible feeling, and what a small world it was, because I'd been over there for about a couple of weeks, and I thought, I didn't have any rides for a couple of weeks. I'll go down to Cancun in Mexico, get a bit of a holiday, get some sunshine. And every morning there, I used to chat to this English girl. Wouldn't have anything to do with me in the evenings, but... and she was telling me she was a sister at the Royal Marsden Hospital. Never thought any more about it. Went back to Delaware, where I was riding, and still had these pains and everything, and managed to ride a winner. And I started going out with a lady vet. And I managed to get her into bed that night.
Right.
And the first thing she said to me was, if I was you, I'd get on the first plane back to England and see a specialist. So went back, went to the Park Street Clinic. Doctor there, Alan Thomas, sent me straight to the Marsden. had 2 operations that week, went to the Royal Marsden to start the chemotherapy. Who was the sister of the ward? The girl I met in Mexico. What a small world. She was in America learning about the chemotherapy at Washington.
So you'd left it too long, basically.
Yeah, basically out of 5 points, I got to 4. So if I'd left it another month, I wouldn't have been here.
And the chemotherapy, because and I've told you this before, but I probably haven't told the audience before, but I had the same testicular cancer that you had. I had exactly the same, a few years after you. One of the first things I did on being diagnosed with it and operated on, one of the first things I did was to get a copy of your book. I wish I hadn't read it at the time.
I would have frightened the living daylights out of you.
I mean, when you went through chemotherapy, it was absolutely brutal, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, bleomycin, vinblastine and platinum pumped into you. You were sick 24 hours a day. Yeah. It was horrendous. I was in there for 7 days, have a day off, then it hit me again on the 9th day. It was horrendous. 15th day, 3 days off, then basically the 21st day, start the treatment again. And that went on for 6 months.
Yeah.
And nearly died of septicemia a couple of times. They got me back to the hospital just in time, changed my blood and everything. But, those days, it wasn't the cancer that was killing you. It was the treatment those days. If you got through it, thankfully, through research, and we've been a big part of it, we are curing 95%.
We are now, yeah. So you come out of this, the cancer's been cured, but physically, there's not much left of you, is there?
Oh, it was an absolute wreck. I went down to about 8 stone 7. I'd never been 8 stone 7 from the day I'd been born. And, came back and I thought maybe make a flat jockey, but I was so weak and couldn't do anything, couldn't even ride a pony, and tried riding out here in England. The weather was very cold, so that was even worse. So I thought I'd go back to America. I knew Burley Cox's horses would be in South Carolina that time of year. Weather would be nice. It would help me. And it did. It got me back 2 or 3 months quicker than I would have done it in England, I must admit. Had my first rides in the States. Had a winner. Well, my first ride back was a winner.
Was it?
But looking back on it, it should have won because I was on the best horse in the race. But the thing that pleased me, hadn't lost my racing brain. And that meant more to me than anything. And then I moved up to Saratoga and rode a couple of winners up there. And then I came back to Josh Gifford. And
Josh Gifford, he was training down at Findon in West Sussex. And he had a horse, didn't he? A horse called Aldeniti. And you'd known this horse for some time.
Oh, yes. I'd known him quite a long time. And he was a good horse. Was third in the Gold Cup, second in the Scottish National. Horse that always had problems, always had leg problems. And that was the thing. He only ran about 20 times in his whole career. And, I was stable lock jockey to Josh. And Josh always said my job was there when I came back. I don't think he ever believed I would come back, but he gave me the confidence and came back. My first ride back for him was a winner, and it was Josh's 500 training success, so that meant an awful
that was quite nice.
Lot to me as well.
So you're back in the game, but Aldeniti is having problems, yeah?
Yeah, Aldeniti, when I was out having chemotherapy, broke down. Richard Rowe rode him that day at Sandown, and the vets wanted to put him down. And they were serious about putting him down. But the owners knew I always said he'd win a Grand National one day. And so they said, we'll have him at home and we'll do what we can. That horse was in plaster for 6 months, tied up for 6 months, couldn't lie down. All he could do was eat, and that was it for 6 months. And then came out of the stable, and, you just think you'd been tied up and you can't move anywhere for 6 months. Absolutely amazing. His character, his temperament must have been absolutely fantastic. He did all the home road work at home, the Embricoses who owned him, and then he went back to Josh Gifford's January the 1st, 1981. And he was a horse that always used to pull a lot. And Josh decided he'd ride him out himself. And Josh had hands like silk, I promise you. He could hold anything. They'd relax, but he had been champion jockey a few times. He was a brilliant rider. And so he rode him out every day. 6 weeks later, he went to Ascot in the Whitbread trial. And, that was going to be the race for him if he got to the National. And I can remember he was the outsider of all of them. And, that I can always remember that morning. He was 66-1 for the Grand National and 16-1 for the Whitbread trial that day at Ascot. As you know, jockeys aren't allowed to bet, but mothers are. She had a few quid on him, both at 16 and 66-1.
But this is the whole romance of the day, wasn't it? I remember before the race, Bob Champion's nearly died. He's back on a horse they were going to put down. It was a fairy tale win, wasn't it, really? And so much so, Bob, that there was a book, as I say, the book that I read. There was a film. John Hurt played you in the film. Did he play you fairly?
I think he did a brilliant job, but John was an absolute fantastic actor.
Yeah.
And, I went the filming quite a bit, not every day, mostly press days and everything.
Yeah.
And I was talking to John one day and I said, John, you're making me out to be too nice. He said, if I made you out how you really are, nobody'd watch the film. So that put me in my place very quickly.
No, it was great. And you've done a lot, Bob. You've set up the Bob Champion Cancer Trust. You've raised a lot of money.
About 16 million.
About 16 million. You're still out raising money.
Yes, we are.
And that's great. Do you think the treatment of men's cancer has got better? Do you think
I think it's getting a little bit better. I'm not saying it's going as fast as it should do. And, what we've been through the last 2 years, it really worries me. Cancer sufferers, there's going to be so many more in a year, 2 years, because women haven't had their mammograms and all the other tests and everything because of COVID and everything. You try seeing a doctor. It's been impossible. And I remember back in the summer, I had to have an operation and I was in absolute agony, my back, and kept ringing the doctor, explaining what it is, didn't want to know, ring them again. I think they got sick of me ringing them, and they still never saw me. They said, go to a hospital and have a checkup. So went to a checkup and nothing seemed to happen there. Then I said, have you had the results? Oh, we know nothing about it. So went back, had more scans and everything. The next thing, I'm in Addenbrooke's, 6 weeks later, for an operation. And they removed half of my kidney. It was a 5-hour operation. I ended up in intensive care for a week. Not a very pleasant thing to be in.
But you were, perhaps because you were so persistent, you actually got treated.
Oh, yeah. If I hadn't been persistent, I
there are
wouldn't
real
have had
problems.
treatment.
Bob, there are real problems coming down the track. There really are.
Yeah.
And finally, a message to men out there who, some of them, are probably as silly as you were when you were young, and they have aches and pains and problems and do nothing about it. What do we say to young men in particular?
Most important thing, if you think there's something wrong, go and see a doctor. But the most important thing is check your bodies. If there's any changes, go and do something about it, because it could save your life.
Well, that was Bob Champion, and that quite inspiring words.